You do not have to wear those masks. I mean, please take them off. Honestly, it's not doing anything, and we got to stop with this COVID theater. So if you want to wear it, fine, but this is ridiculous. All right, well, it's good to be at USF. We've been able to really make inroads with the Florida Centers for Cybersecurity at USF. The center was created in 2014 to help Florida become a national leader in cybersecurity. And director at the Florida Center for Cybersecurity.
Because nothing quite says freedom like the governor of a state telling children that wearing masks during a pandemic is akin to COVID theater. Just imagine if Ron DeSantis even for a second prioritized the lives of those kids over optics. Oh, you can't? Yeah, me neither. He literally says they're not doing anything. And that claim that masks just don't work has been flying across right-wing circles. And to be crystal clear here, the claim is dead wrong. Need proof? In January 2021, the CDC conducted experiments using masks and found that they reduced exposure to infected aerosols by more than 90% in lab simulations. Data also showed that they reduced exposure to particles the size of COVID droplets when compared to no masks. In a Kansas study, a comparison between counties with and without mask mandates between June and August 2020 found that COVID rates declined in counties with mask mandates. And finally, a study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the USA found that in some of the areas hit hardest by COVID, when mask wearing rules were implemented, infected trends shifted dramatically. So you may not like masks, you may feel like you're the victim of some unthinkable tyranny, and that's your prerogative, but the idea that masks don't work is about as valid as Ron DeSantis' medical advice. And so that we're clear, DeSantis' partisan hackery doesn't end at COVID misinformation. He signaled support for the Don't Say Gay bill currently making its way through the Florida legislature. The bill would prohibit discussions of gender identity and sexual orientation in schools. And so that we're clear, not only is it not inappropriate to acknowledge that LGBT Americans exist, but it'll undoubtedly stigmatize LGBT students and put them at risk. In other words, DeSantis is willing to throw the most vulnerable students in his state in harm's way, all to score some cheap political points for a problem that doesn't exist. Or how about the anti-critical race theory bill, which, again, seeks to solve a problem that doesn't exist, in that critical race theory is quite literally not taught in schools. The bill would ban public schools and private businesses from making people feel, quote, discomfort while being taught about racial discrimination in US history, which, to be clear, is a catch-all to effectively ban all racial discrimination teachings in US history, because all it takes is one person to arbitrarily declare that they're no longer comfortable. And all of that is notwithstanding the fact that, there is no way to teach US history without discussing racial discrimination. Half of our history was predicated in enslaving black people. The other half includes race riots, segregation, voter suppression, and police brutality. What's left to teach? The New Deal? Which, not even that, because redlining is racist too. Frankly, if Ron DeSantis was more focused on expanding education rather than curtailing it to kowtow to the far-right fringes of Fox's audience, he would know that masks are safe. He would know that stigmatizing LGBT Americans puts them at increased risk of harm. He would know that you can't effectively teach US history without discussing racial discrimination. But facts aren't important to DeSantis. All that matters is pandering to the lowest common denominator in service of his own political career. Because as far as the GOP goes, it's not about helping the most vulnerable, it's not about making anyone's lives better, it's not about honesty or integrity or dignity, it is about power. And Ron DeSantis is living proof of that. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work, subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. I cover the most important stories each week, and my guest is always one of the top political figures, including Vice President Kamala Harris, Jen Psaki, Elizabeth Warren, Pete Buttigieg, Nancy Pelosi, Katie Porter, Cory Booker, and so many more. The podcast link is also right here on this screen, so give it a listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.